Um, I guess when I was in high school is the first time I realized that I was attracted to guys, but it didn't really register with me too much. Um, I was still concerned about having a girl to take to the prom and stuff like that, even though it was very awkward for me. But I still have lots of memories of sitting in the back of the band hall looking out the window because the football practice field was right below us, and the guys would take their shirts off, and they had on white short gym shorts because back in my day they wore short shorts. And I would just be looking all the time and not realize what the deal was. Same way in the locker rooms and stuff like that. But I didn't identify myself. I don't think we even used the word gay back then very much. And there were people in school. The twirlers for the high school band were twin boys. They were very obviously queer, and I knew I wasn't like them, But but it was in high school when I first began to see that, and but felt very much outside the circle of the guys because I didn't play sports, wasn't interested in sports. I was pretty much a loner. I had a few friends, but they were the oddballs of the school, and so I did most of my stuff. As far as just the things I did, the hobbies I had were all things I could do by myself.
So I grew up in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and got to be part of the Boy Scouts for a while, and then learned that there was a scout camp, and you could apply to work as a camp counselor, teaching merit badges, and I was really interested in nature, so got on board there. Group of us every week would give a chance to go off of the camp and have a night out and go to a small town around and watch a movie, and so we did that. And one night when I came in, my program director asked all of us to come check in with him to ensure that we did come back at an appropriate time. And so he saw each of us and kind of checked off our names on a clipboard, and then he had me wait after everybody left. So it's maybe 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and he had me sit on his bed, and then he touched me, and he put my hand on him where I shouldn't have touched, but he wanted me to make him feel good. And so had experience just touching each other that way, and I was so depressed afterwards. I remember the next day just being depressed, and my coworkers saying, "You're really depressed today," and I just couldn't tell them anything. But right after that incident happened, it's like the enemy just came into my heart and said, "Now you know what you are," and kind of just cemented that as my identity.
Gosh, when I was probably 8 years old, I went through some childhood sexual abuse. It was pretty major stuff in my life, and it caused a lot of problems, I feel like. And then at a certain point in my life, that stopped, and I was just growing up. Probably maybe when I reached around 14, maybe I was a late bloomer or something, I don't know. I realized that I had strange thoughts, that my thoughts weren't correct, that my thoughts weren't what I wanted them to be concerning sex, concerning girls, and concerning guys. I knew that my thoughts were toward guys. I didn't like that at all. I didn't want it. I walked around my whole life, all through high school, thinking I didn't want this, I did not want this, and I didn't want this,
And I, from early ages had these feelings. I never acted out on them, until I think I was in my 20s when I actually, I guess came out of the closet, or however you want to say it. But in between there, though, there was a time when I got into a lot of drinking and drugs, probably late teens, but still was not having sex with men or women. I was dating women a little bit from the high school proms and the dances and stuff like that, but it wasn't really in my heart attractive, sex-wise or anything. and I knew I wanted to have sex with men. I knew that was in my heart, but didn't. I didn't. But anyway, so I had a good little group of friends. As far as I know, they were all straight. We didn't, talk about the gay issues back then. It wasn't any kind of subject matter this is in the '60s, and one day we were hanging. We used to hang out on street corners a lot in Chicago and drink and just goof around and stuff. And a neighborhood friend, he came by, and he was one of our group, but now he had been following Jesus. He said, and he had this big wooden cross on, and it was the Jesus freak movement of the late '60s, early '70s, and he told us about that Jesus was his savior and that we should go to this church with him. So a handful of us went, and I had an experience there, and that's pretty much when I, changed my life and said, God, whatever you want for me, this is, what I'll do. And so then, little by little, I quit the drugs and the drinking, and sooner or later, I was involved in an Assembly of God church, and felt like I was called to be a preacher or minister of some sort. So I went to their big main Bible college, which was Central Bible College in Springfield, Missouri. And now, in the meantime, I still haven't dealt with the gay issue. And every once in a while, it would come back in my mind, and I would hear preachers preach about how wrong it was and how an abomination, and I would just put it on the back burner and not really deal with it. So I just continued to go through my classes in Bible college. I did 2 years, and then it started eating away at me, where I'm like, I still haven't fulfilled this desire in my life that was part of me, and I know it says it's wrong, but yet why would I have this desire if it was wrong? And what's up? So at one point, I kind of little by little quit going to the I not really dropped out, but I finished 2 years of the Bible college, and then I started just working in the local church in Chicago, and it was a Assembly of God church, but it was a very kind of youthful, modern kind of church service with more rock music and stuff. And the pastor was Steve Warner, and he was a good, nice man of God and everything. And so I confronted him with my situation, and he said, well, if you have these desires, then we should meet on a weekly basis, and we could pray you through this all. And so we, and he had never, heard of it or had dealt with it, so he really didn't know what to do with me. But him and another pastor, the three of us would meet, and we talk about, I'd tell them what my temptations were and my problems, and they'd, sit there and hold my hand and pray with me, and, try to basically be there for me. But they really had no advice. I mean, they really hadn't experienced anything like me, but I do give them that much, that they didn't kick me out of the church or do anything like that. They wanted to work with me and to to help me on my road of recovery, or whatever you want to call it. We didn't really know of any Exodus groups or anything that they have now.